Hello. Hello, my little rebels. It has been 4 months since I posted this video on sewing is resistance. If you haven't seen this video, I basically talk you through my slight realization that sewing is indeed very radical and very rebellious, and I'm trying to convince as many people possible that it is as well, and I think you should join me on this quest. And I'm not saying everyone should just go ahead and start making their own clothes, but I do think if you can learn the basics of mending and mend your clothes so they can last longer and engage in your community, which we'll talk about a little bit later, then fantastic. Now, the one word that was commented the most on that video was craftivism, or as my northern partner would say, Craftivism. That was so bad. I'm so sorry to my northerners. I'm so sorry. So cracking on, what is craftivism? Such a nice word to say. It's such a nice word on the lips, craftivism. I think the proper definition is it's the practice of craft, whether that's knitting, sewing, any sort of form of handmade crafting, and using it as a form of activism to raise awareness about political and social issues. The term craftivism actually was coined in 2003 by Betsy Greer in order to join the separate spheres of craft and activism. Craftivism. And what I find really interesting is that Betsy hasn't actually made any rules of what craftivism is. So someone's version of craftivism could be completely different to someone else's. Someone could be painting political messages on clothing, and that's how they will be doing their craftivism. And then you've got people like the Craftivist Collective who make like handmade personal gifts for like board members in order to try and change a policy. So they're quite different, but they both combine the two things, craft and activism, so it still comes under that one umbrella. And I'll be honest, I really like craftivism. I feel like it's a natural step for me. I am not a shouty person. I actually have physically a very quiet voice. I'm literally coming to the end of a very sore throat because I was singing at a festival, not even screaming or shouting, just like bass level singing, and my voice is killing me. But also when I've attended protests and marches in the past, I get the most awful headache and I get actual heart palpitations just because it's just not, I just don't enjoy it, and it makes me really anxious. And yes, that's not to say that I don't agree with that form of activism, because I do think it's very important. I do think we need protests and other forms of activism like signing petitions, emailing MPs. I do all of that already, and I feel like adding craftivism to that little toolkit is going to be positive as well. And I really like the idea of it being very gentle. So much in the messaging, I feel like the messaging is quite clear and thought-provoking, but the actual action of crafting is very gentle. I feel like it's such a lovely way of getting a point across. Even though the term was coined in 2003, craftivism has been present for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. Some examples, you've got the Pussy Hat Project, which was part of the women's rights movement. Part of their campaign was hand making or hand knitting, hand crocheting these beautiful pink fluffy cat shaped hats. And when you see the images of these marches and it is a sea of different shades of bright pink, you think, wow, it was impactful. And I think it actually got onto the cover of Times magazine in the US, which is perfect. That's what you want from a campaign. You want awareness. And when you see that hat and you know about where it came from, you just instantly think women's rights movement. And I Love that. You could say memorial quilts are a form of craftivism because again it's raising awareness. You've got the incredible AIDS quilt which actually showcased in the Tate in London this year, and I am so gutted that I didn't get a chance to go to that. I heard it was beautiful. The Grenfell Tower quilt, again a beautiful community made quilt, raising awareness. It's got a message to it, and yes, that is a form of craftivism. Even yarn bombing, yarn storming is a form of craftivism. People take it upon themselves in their own free time to like hand make things to wrap around just objects in the street, usually in very concrete grey areas where there's not much colour, not much fun, and there's people that are decorating them with knitted and crocheted items. What a beautiful thing. And some people attach political messages to that, but some people just do it because they want to make people smile. Isn't that lovely? And in a world that's trying to make you into a sad little robot, what a lovely thing to go against the grain and like decorating just little mundane spaces with colour and textile. Love it. You've got the Duster Project, which explores contemporary perspectives on the everyday lives of women. And fun fact, if you actually want to attend a workshop where you'll be stitching onto dusters, if you attend the London Knitting and Stitching Show this year, they've actually got a workshop for that, and I'm gutted. I was actually meant to do some workshops at the London one, but there was a clash. But I will be at the Harrogate one, and I don't think they have the Duster workshop at the Harrogate one, which is such a shame because I would be so up for that. Maybe we could have met there. Then the group Caring Craftivism actually collaborated with the Duster Project to raise awareness about carers, and they have a fantastic podcast which I will link in the description below if you want to give it a good listen, and that tells you a bit about craftivism and how they are using it and plan to use it in the future as well. There's a really good YouTube video which again I will put in the link in the description. It's only about an hour long, and I believe it's originally by the BBC, and basically the host, Jenny Eclair, she goes around and interacts with different craftivists and engages with some projects that they are doing. It's a really cool video, and it does really like delve into the different projects that people are doing under the term craftivism. And in that, the host, Jenny, actually speaks to Sarah Corbett, who is the person who created the Craftivist Collective, and she's also from Liverpool. I bought her book, How to Be a Craftivist, The Art of Gentle Protest, and fully recommend. I really recommend that you get this book. It's really insightful, and I really like the fact that there are lots of references to projects where craftivism has been used and sort of the positive and maybe not so positive outcomes that have come from it. So really recommend. I feel like it's changed my perspective on activism in general and how I want to approach it from here. And about 2 months ago I actually uploaded a video about craftivism, but I took it down shortly after. I think I gave it like 1 or 2 days and then I took it down. When I filmed the video, I made it quite clear where my stance was when it came to political and social issues, which of course I still stand by. I do not regret that in the slightest. That's the whole point of this video, is I want to engage in craftivism on issues that I'm very passionate about. However, the one thing I do regret is in that video I said something along the lines of, if you don't have the same views as me, then I don't want you in my space. I'll be really honest, I was a couple of pages into this book when I had posted that video, and I feel like Sarah makes it really clear from the off that it's really important to be welcoming and respectful with people who have different views from us. It really did make me think, and whilst reading the book there was just more of that message coming through about treating people with kindness and being gentle to people who maybe don't feel the same as you. And I feel like it doesn't make me any better than the people who might have the total opposite views as me. We're like keeping everyone apart and there's no like middle conversation and no listening, and I feel like that's just not going to get anyone anywhere. So when I engage with craftivism, I'm working on myself to be a little bit more gentle and open to people rather than completely shutting them out, because where does that get anyone? I love this manifesto which came with the book and came with some kits that I've bought, and I have it sat literally right at the front by my laptop, so I see it every day, and it's got some really great points on there. So yes, really do recommend this book, and I've actually bought some kits, one that I used recently, and I will show you that very shortly. So other books to recommend, we've got Crafting a Better World by Diana Weimar, I think that's how you say her name, and it's such a lovely book. It shows all of these embroidered like doilies and hankies, just textiles, and a lot of them kind of record historical things, thought-provoking quotes, and yeah, really interesting. Someone on Instagram recommended Common Threads Press to me, and if you are into craft and activism, then fabulous. They publish books that are all encompassing of those things, and some of their books are so like short and like so easy to read, like little short stories about how craft has been used for storytelling and how it was used to resist back in the day. And it's very diverse. Loads of different cultures have been using crafts for years and years and years. I bought Many Hands Make a Quilt. Really interesting. I really recommend that you buy this book. I'm not going to share any stories because it seems cheeky to do so when you can buy the book for like £7, I think it is. So again, I'll put that in the description and you can have a look. They have loads of like little books, little short stories on there, so really recommend that. I'm only a couple of pages in this book, which I am very excited to read. Hopefully we'll get further ahead this weekend. But I'll also add some links below with some Craftivist articles which I thought were really interesting as well. How am I engaging with craftivism? All of the research, including the research for the Sewing is Resistance video, the one ultimate thing that makes you the ultimate rebel is community. It seems to be like the real standout, most important thing. Act locally, think globally, which is something you might have heard in don't know where, somewhere. One of the first things that I really wanted to do was try to find my community, and I know I do have an online community of wonderful people, but I really wanted to find an in-person community. Especially, I do work by myself all day, nearly every day. It's just me and this little cat lamp. So yes, I've been trying to find community. Attended a couple of makers nights in Liverpool, and it's at this place does. It's such a lovely welcoming space, and every Thursday for like 3 hours you can go in the evening and use their equipment, speak to people, meet creatives, and yeah, it's like a space where people can like geek out essentially over anything. They've got 3D printers, they've got heat transfers, laser cutters, like they've got everything, and that is very community focused. They're not government funded. It is people in the space giving their own money to keep the lights on, basically. I've actually cut out some quilt templates on the laser cutter, and I've done a bunch of hand stitching there as well. They actually host a monthly repair cafe thing, and I got to be a volunteer for that last month, and I plan to every month from now on. Yeah, Repair Cafe is I think it's a global thing. It is a global thing. People host these events, and once a month you can come in and bring your electrical items, tools, textile stuff, and there'll be hopefully some volunteers to help you fix it, repair it, mend it. So the one that I attended as a volunteer, someone came in with a pair of these long trouser joggers and I took them up and it was lovely. It's interesting because before doing this full time, sewing full time, I hated doing alterations. It was just such a bugbear. I hated it. But now that my mind has kind of changed around it, I can't wait. I'm trying to get as many people to this repair cafe to get their things mended for free. Essentially for free. I mean, you might need to pay for like some thread, some matching colour thread. But what a fantastic idea. And yeah, I'm really excited to do more of that and engage more with my community. I've actually got some workshops on snazzifying your garments coming up very soon, which I am of course very excited about. And I have lots of ideas of maybe doing like a bring a t-shirt and upcycle thing in Liverpool, maybe in Manchester as well at some point, but we shall see. Then I engaged in my first bit of proper craftivism. So after I had bought this book, there is mention of different projects in here, and one of them being making little scrolls that look a little like that. And I've been attending Creamfields Festival for years, which is my most local festival, and I love the music, I love dancing, and I think now that I am very aware about where I'm buying from and like who I'm buying into, I thought I don't know how I just like came across the sponsors of Creamfields and realised that one of the main sponsors is my arch nemesis, Shein. And Shein is such a damaging brand. It treats garment workers like the worst. Don't get me wrong, there are so many awful fast fashion brands, but Shein is like top the worst. They have this documentary called Buy Now, I think it is, on Netflix, and that shows you how big of a scale Shein is in terms of producing items compared to other fast fashion brands like H&M, Boohoo, Pretty Little Thing, things like that. Shein is just next level. So I was absolutely gutted to hear that they are a sponsor of one of my favourite festivals. And like the book says, I actually thought, you know what, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and I'll email them. I emailed Creamfields, and I also emailed the local council where Creamfields is hosted, and it was a really nice email in my opinion. It was very much like, I'm disappointed to see that Shein is a sponsor. I know you obviously do care about sustainability because you have these schemes in place. Actually, when I attended Creamfields this year, all of the water was in cans, not plastic, which I thought was a really like good step. And obviously they provide water and stuff, which is really good. And like I was kind of like semi praising them, but also saying, I don't know if you're aware of how awful Shein is. Safe to say I didn't get a response from either of them, and I do have plans of trying to create a petition, which I've never done before, but I will do this. But I thought if there's anything I can potentially do, it's a bit of craftivism. The day before, I wrote out 3 of these little scrolls, followed the instructions, rolled them up, put the little cute little ribbon, and took them, sneaked them into Creamfields, and actually planted them in 3 different bits of clothing items from Shein in their little pop-up thing. And like this book, the messages are not in any way being like, you should stop buying into this awful brand, be aware of the damage you're causing. It's nothing like that. It's very much like, just very like thought-provoking, being like, oh, I was trying to see if I can remember some of the messages. If clothes could talk, what tales might they tell? Stories of how they were made with love, joy and care, or sadness, tragedy and heartbreak. What would your clothes say to you? And then tagged Fashion Revolution, which, fantastic organisation. And oh my goodness, I was so like excited but nervous at the same time. This pop-up was small, okay? I actually expected it to be massive, but it wasn't. It was actually quite small. And we waited outside, and they were only allowing like 6 to 8 people in the space because it was that small. So we were waiting outside, and I'm just there like going through my bum bag trying to find these 3 scrolls. And then we walked in, and I handed one to my friend Holly, and yeah, so we were like looking at the clothes and like pulling the hangers, and then like found a pocket. Can you believe Shein has pockets on one item? And then sort of snuck it in, and then moved to the next rail, found like a skirt, snuck that in there, and then I found some big cowboy boots at the back, so I sneaked a little scroll in there as well. Don't have any footage in there because I just couldn't do it. And yes, who knows, maybe these scrolls will never get seen, but maybe someone will just randomly pick it up and just think, okay, they might rethink their purchases, it sort of guides them to where they can find some more information about this, which I think is really important. And they can almost do it in their own time. It's not me shouting at them, do the thing now. They can do it in their own time, and they can think about it themselves. But yeah, what a thrilling thing to be involved in. And I really do hope that they do get picked up. But I guess you won't know. And even though I probably will not be attending another Creamfields festival, if Shein is still the main sponsor, I will try my blooming best to try and convince as many people as possible that there are different places to shop other than Shein. Now, in terms of future Craftivist projects, so with this kit, I bought another kit, and it's this mini banner kit, which the Craftivist Collective are quite well known for, I would say. I like that you can make your own message in your own time, and I've already mapped out the message that I'm going to put. Earth provides enough to satisfy everyone's needs, but not everyone's greed. It's thought-provoking, which is the whole point. So I actually already know where I'm going to put this once I've finished cross-stitching it. So maybe once I've done that, I'll give you a little update. And there is a Facebook group for the Craftivist Collective where people discuss ideas, what Craftivist projects they're working on, how people can get involved. And rightfully so, someone has asked about what to do about this whole situation in the UK at the minute. If you don't know, there are some tensions happening in the UK, a lot of misinformation, misdirected anger at the wrong group of people, and we have all been like racking our brains to try and think of a project that's gentle but strong, trying to find a project where I can use my skills in crafting, sewing, and use it in a positive activist way. So yes, thank you to those who shared stories and recommendations and introduced me to Craftivism. Thank you. If you have engaged in your own bit of Craftivism, then please let me know in the comments. It's so interesting to read. I will keep you updated, and thank you so much. I will see you next time, my little rebel. Goodbye.